Welcome everyone. So, I'm going to be covering Misdreavus and Mismagius, and there is a lot to cover here, so stay tuned for that. Um, the first thing I want to address is the typing, because I know that a lot of people have their own little headcanons or ideas about what type they want Misdreavus and Mismagius to be. Initially, I had them both planned to be Ghost Fairy type. Let me turn this music down a little bit, it's kind of loud. Or maybe my headphone volume was just loud. Yeah, that's fine. Um, so I initially had that planned, but I realized the only Ghost Psychic type is Hoopa, and Hoopa is obtained very late in the game. It is very strong and viable Pokemon. It will be balanced for player use, but just one Ghost Psychic feels kind of underwhelming. Like I feel like that's a typing that should be more frequent. And so I was like, okay, well, there's Mimikyu. So if I make Mismagius Ghost Psychic, then I have two Ghost Fairies and two Ghost Psychics, and that works out really nicely in terms of like the balancing the type. And I also think that making them different typings really helps distinguish the two from one another because I know a lot of people prefer Misdreavus to Mismagius, and I know a lot. Oh, this should be bolded as well. If you guys are not familiar with the sheets, whenever I have these names bolded, it means the type was changed. Same with the type being underlined and bolded. And I will eventually make a little cheat sheet with all of the type changes whenever Mon changes it, and I will have that similar to this B tier guide. It will be like that, but for type changes, probably just for all types in the hack, and then the type changes will be at the top, and then the type, yeah, it'll have like all the Pokemon listed as types. But anyways, man, Mismagius and Misdreavus are super powerful now. Very well deserved buffs here, very fitting buffs. So, um, that's the first reason why I chose to make Mismagius Ghost Psychic. Another thing is because also Ghost Psychic does genuinely fit very well, just as well as Fairy. Because yes, they are a witch, but again, magic is psychic or fairy. Delphox, for example, was introduced in a generation where fairy existed, and yet Delphox was psychic over fairy. I don't know if that was a balancing choice or if it's just because maybe they didn't introduce fairy until later, or they just thought that psychic fit better. And honestly, I'm inclined to agree for some reason. I don't know, maybe I'm just brainwashed, but I feel like psychic does fit Delphox better. And also, when I get to that, eventually we will talk about it. But the Ninetales is fire fairy, so we don't need Delphox to also be fire fairy. That's pointless. So that's the first. That's the second reason. The second reason is that again, similar to Delphox, witch type Pokemon are indeed psychic type. So I like how Misdreavus is more of like the smaller little pixie, mischievous banshee type, and then Mismagius is like full on witch, which is why they gain the psychic typing. Yes, I understand it's magic, and I know fairy is magic. Like, I'm not saying that Ghost Fairy doesn't fit. Ghost Fairy fits very well. It very well could be Ghost Fairy, but from a balancing point of view, it makes a lot more sense to make them different types, so that way you actually have to choose which one you're using, because the types are actually very equal in terms of balancing. So if you like Ghost Fairy, then just use Misdreavus. Misdreavus is great. You don't have to evolve it. You cannot evolve it the entire game, and it's a very viable mon. With a Violet, it's actually much bulkier than Mismagius, and it doesn't have to run a Violet. It can also run Specs or Scarf or whatever item, Sash, super effective, Berry, whatever a fucking item you need it to run. It can run it because it has solid enough stats to stand on its own. But with the Violet is where it really shines and where it really becomes better than Mismagius in terms of a defensive Pokemon, because with 100 base special defense and a Violite and 50 base defense, it is actually much bulkier than Mismagius with 60 and 120. That being said, it's really honestly, like, I really couldn't say which one is better. I wouldn't say either one is better than the other. I'd say they're both very equal. I guess you could argue Mismagius is better just from the power, because of the power and the speed. But at the end of the day, the typings are very different, and the fact that it's bulky with the Violet and the abilities. So I haven't covered the abilities yet. So Misdreavus has Pixelate, which is an excellent ability. Misdreavus is a Banshee. So, the deck entries talk about how it screams and Screech Pokemon. That's what they call it, the Screech Pokemon. It's a Banshee. Um, it shrieks and stuff. And so I thought, okay, let's give Mischievous Ghost Fairy Pixelate Boom Burst and also like, Hyper Voice and all these other sound moves. I think that's really cool. Then Mismagius was either going to be Ghost Fairy with Magic Guard or, better yet, Ghost Psychic with Magic Guard, because now the two are very distinguished from one another. And that isn't to say that Mischievous is better because of the typing, because a lot of people might be conditioned to think that Ghost Psychic is a shit typing just because it has two common 4x weaknesses, but that doesn't make it bad. In fact, you could actually argue that Ghost Psychic is a better typing than Ghost Fairy. So what I'm going to cover here, I'm going to show you guys the typings, type effectiveness, okay? So Mismagius as a ghost, sorry, this should be Mimikyu, so I can show you guys the Ghost Fairy for Mischievous. I'm going to be showing Mimikyu and Hoopa just for the type effectiveness. Come on, really? Thank you. So Mimikyu, please tell me I'm recording, by the way. Okay, Mimikyu or not Mimikyu, Misdreavus has 3 immunities: normal, fighting, and dragon, and then it has 2 weaknesses, and it actually does not resist bug anymore because fairy does not resist bug anymore. Neither does ghost. So instead of being 1/4 resistant to bug, it actually is neutral to bug. Also, if you don't like type changes, I will be releasing a patch without them. I recommend playing with them because I balance them with them in mind, but it's only ice changes to ice and bug. Only those 2 types have been changed. Bug is no longer resisted by, or bug, what am I trying to say here? Fairy, ghost, and fighting no longer resist bug, and then ice has 3 new resistances. If you want to go see those, you can check out the sheet or watch other videos on ice types. I probably talk about it in those. And I'll eventually make videos covering the type chart changes probably after Johto is done. But back to what I was saying. You have no resistances as Misdreavus, so you don't resist anything. You do have 3 immunities, which is great. 3 immunities is a lot. Just to completely nullify 3 types in the game, it's a very big asset. And then it has 2 2x weaknesses and Ghost and Steel. So it is a very balanced type. It has 0 resistances, which is a kind of big deal, and then 3 immunities, 2 weaknesses. Sorry, I'm speaking fast. And then if you go to Hoopa, okay, which is again Mismagius is typing Ghost Psychic, you are 2 times weak to Bug, 4 times weak to Ghost and Dark, immune to normal and fighting, obviously, but you actually do have resistances. You are resistant to poison and psychic. So you could argue that having 2 resistances is better. I would argue that actually, because resistance is obviously you are immune to dragon as Misdreavus, so it's balanced. All right, it's not like the scale is very tipped in Misdreavus's favor. It is very equal because you again gain resistances, and also the 4 times weaknesses to Ghost and Dark don't fucking matter. Because physically you're dying to Ghost and Dark hits anyways because you have 60 base defense and 60 HP. But Bug is kind of a loss, but again, Bug is Bug. And it's a great type now. And then on the special side, yeah, it does kind of suck to be 4 times weak, but again, it's not that big of a deal. You actually will outspeed most ghosts and kill them with like a Life Orb boosted Shadow Ball or Spectral Beam or whatever it is. So I wouldn't worry about the ghost. I'd be more worried about the darks. But with the dark types, you have tons of incredible fairy and fighting type coverage to hit those guys. So honestly, you cover your weaknesses very well. You can even run Mismagius under Psychic Terrain to be immune to Terrain. If you're not running Levitate, you're immune to Priority, rather. You're immune to Priority if you Levitate. So if you're Levitate under, sorry, if you're not Levitate under Psychic Terrain. So if you're running a Magic Guard set with Psychic Terrain or Psychic Surgeon, another teammate, you can actually be immune to Priority. So Sucker Punch won't kill you, First Impression won't kill you. That kind of stuff is really nice to be immune to. So that being said, stat-wise, Misdreavus has 100 speed, 100 special attack, 50 in both HP and defense. I like the way the stats worked out also because it's kind of cool. It's like, oh, look, Misdreavus's special stats and speed is double its defense and HP, and then Mismagius is the same. 60 goes to 120, 50 goes to 100, and yeah, again, these two are like very viable on their own. Like it's really up in the air which one is usable or which one you want to use. It's really up to personal preference and your other teammates at that time. I would recommend waiting to evolve only because you can never devolve. So you can never evolve back into Misdreavus, but you can always evolve your Misdreavus into Mismagius, and you have all of the exact same moves. The only thing that Misdreavus doesn't get that Mismagius does is Hocus Pocus at level 68, which is a funny ass name. Hocus, there's so many new moves here, so I'm going to go through all of their moves in depth, don't worry. But I'll just mention what Hocus Pocus is now since I mentioned it. Hocus Pocus is a 200 base power plus 2 priority move that only has 1 PP. It's 1 PP. You use it once, it's 200 base power. It's very strong. But again, that's only 1 PP. So it's kind of like a priority Z move in a sense. But the benefit of a Z move is that you have a regular move after you use the Z move in that slot. But the disadvantage of this is that, of course, you don't have any regular moves after this. You run out of slots. However, that gives you item freedom. So for example, Life Orb, Magic Guard, Hocus Pocus is much more powerful than, say, Z Psy Strike even, or Z Cycle Boost because of the Life Orb boost. So but that's up to you to decide if you want it or not. I'd say the priority is the main reason you'd be using it. Otherwise, it's kind of not worth it. And you are very fast, so you don't need it. But it's still a very powerful option nonetheless. So now I'm going to cover each of the two. So also in terms of stats, Misdreavus's bulk is very high. If you factor in a Violite, 100 base special defense with a neutral nature will reach, can I put a neutral nature here? Thank you. At +1, which is what a Violite boosts by, will give you a 448 special defense set with neutral nature and max investment, with 0 special defense investment. So say you're running a max speed, max special attack set, or max HP, max special attack, you have 354 split F, which is still very high. So that's awesome. It's very, very bulky. And then physically, obviously, your 50 defense stat is pretty poor, but with a Violite and max investment, you will be pretty bulky at 298, which is like, what, base 80, 90-ish maxed out? Maybe 100-ish, actually. So it's pretty bulky. It is pretty damn bulky with the Violite. So that is awesome. And that also has utility over Mimikyu. I believe it will probably be faster than Mimikyu, or at least similarly as fast. And then it'll be much stronger, especially than Mimikyu, and also has different abilities and stuff, so, and different move pools. And then as for Ghost Psychic, Mismagius will definitely be very different from Hoopa Confined. Hoopa Confined will be its own thing. It will have probably pranks and levitate most likely. So yeah, these two don't really have any overlap with other Pokemon. They're very unique in that sense. And now I can cover their moves. So tons of moves here, okay? Lots of stuff to cover, so stay tuned because there's a lot of important stuff, especially towards the end. A lot of really, really, really overpowered stuff. I wouldn't actually say overpowered, but it is extremely good. Also, the evolution method is Psychic Gem. If you aren't familiar with my stuff, I make them evolve with gems instead of like stones or whatever, because I can control the level you get them at easier that way. And also, so that way your Misdreavus isn't going to try to evolve every fucking level if I just made it flat level up. So now you have the genuine choice to when to evolve it, which is nice. And you will have gems purchasable like from an early point. So, excuse me. Jesus. Okay. So Levitate, great ability. I'm just gonna cover Levitate now for both of them. You have access to infinite ability capsules, so you can switch between your abilities at will. So in a lot of cases, you're going to want Levitate because you are pretty frail, so, or at least physically. So getting in that free switch into ground moves is always a beneficial trait to have, no matter what the situation. That was not misleading. No matter what the situation is not true, because there are situations where it's useless because there's no ground moves, or there's no ground types or ground moves you need to switch in on. But there will be a lot of cases where there is a ground move you need to switch in on. So since this is a difficult hack and you are playing on set battle style, or at least that's what's intended, it's nice to have that utility to be able to switch in your Pokemon freely without taking damage, because on set style you're going to have to switch them in hard, and an earthquake or something is going to, a strong earthquake is going to fuck, or a seismic fist or megaton kick, or all these strong physical ground moves are going to melt your Mismagius or Misdreavus. So you're going to want to be immune to those in certain situations. And there's also other situations where maybe your other ability actually isn't that great. Maybe you don't need it. They're good abilities, don't get me wrong, they're very good, but Levitate is also good. So that covers Levitate. Now for Pixelate on Misdreavus. So I already explained the logic of it. It's a Banshee, it screeches, it screams. So giving it fairy type sound moves is really cool. A huge buff to Pixelate is that it bypasses the ability Sinister, which is a new ability. Sinister makes Pokemon immune to fairy. Right now, the only Pokemon with it is Hypno, who is Psychic Dark. If you want to find more about Hypno, you can go watch that video. Hypno's fucking sick. I love what I did with Hypno, so you can definitely go watch that. But what am I trying to say here? Sinister is great to be. Sinister is relatively common. There will be more mons with it. Most of them will be Ghost or Dark type. Actually, I believe all of them will be Ghost or Dark type. So to completely bypass that is a really good trait to have. So not only do you get the boosted moves, but you also are, again, completely immune. Sorry, you completely bypass them. So I'm going to cover all of your Pixelate options first. Then I'm going to talk about Magic Guard and the viability and applications of that. And then I'm just going to go through every TM and tutor and list the notable options, okay? That's what I'm going to do. So that's your structure for the rest of this video. So Pixelate, you have Swift at level 1, which is a 55 base power plus 2 priority move. So with Pixelate boosted, that'll become a 66 base power priority move, as opposed to Pixie Dust, which is a 45 base power plus 1 priority fairy move, which is like the general purposes special fairy move, special fairy priority. Again, there is 1 to 2 priority moves of every type now, and they are widespread, so that's something I really enjoy. I just enjoy Pokemon having that option. Again, there is no movie learner, so you're going to be hard-pressed to keep it the entire game on certain Pokemon, especially faster ones. On slower mons, it's definitely worth keeping, but, it's kind of, you have to balance your options. That's part of the challenge, actually. That's why I'm happy the Movie Learner is actually late, because I feel like the hack would be a lot easier if you could just switch your level up moves whenever you want. You already have plenty of amazing TMs and tutors, so I wouldn't want to give you even more freedom there. I think that's a good thing that it's limited. I think it would be kind of easy otherwise. Not kind of easy. I mean, obviously, if you're not experienced, it'll be hard regardless. But if you're experienced, you could really just counter team everything with that. But I do like how you have to juggle, your 4 move slots. Back on topic, Pixelate. So you have Swift. Echoed Voice is strong. It is nerfed because I don't like Echoed Voice or Fury Cutter. I think that they can be very, very brainless, and they can be very, very overpowered in game, because the AI is so bad that you can kind of just snowball and sweep if I kept it 100% accuracy. So they are, I believe, 95% accuracy or 90. pretty sure 95. So you have a small chance to miss, and then also they are lower in base power technically. They are both 35 base power. Again, they're still great moves. Like Echo Voice is still really strong. You can still sweep with it. You just have to worry about that miss. You might want to run a wide lens or something, you know, if you don't want to worry about that miss. So that's Echo Voice. Early game is very good as well. Then at level 19, you get Harmonize. You also get Disarming Voice. So Harmonize and Disarming Voice are the same move, I believe, just different types. Let me confirm. I'm pretty sure they both drop attack instead of special attack. Yes, they both drop physical attack. So should probably add a little section here that says drops, which offense it drops. Probably I should do that. I make this red. And that should be a smaller text. I don't know, freaking 15. And then it should drop special attack. So there are more moves that drop special, physical and special. But anyways, Harmonize and Disarming Voice are both 60 base power, so you either have the flat 60 base power with Levitate, or with Harmonize and the extra move slot, you can get a 72 base power version. So it is stronger by a significant factor, which is nice. And technically, it also works like round, where you can do the Harmonized like OP round double battle strategies, but double battles are not that common to really warrant that. Oh god, it went all the way up here. Mismagius. As for which one I prefer, by the way, if you're wondering, I don't know, honestly. I really like both of them. I think they're both super cool. Again, the pro gamer tip is to keep your Misdreavus until you get to a point where you need Mismagius, because you can never go back, but you can always evolve. So that's my tip. But again, Mismagius is a lot better in terms of the speed. Speed is the biggest boost for sure. The abilities and typing are also great, but the biggest increase is definitely the speed, and that is a pretty big deal, because if you look at the speed tier guide, you can see how these Pokemon stack up, and base 100 is a lot more crowded than base 120, and again, with base 120, you outspeed all these really, really strong Mons in these two columns, or two sections, and at base 100, you know, you're chilling with like Charizard and Alolan Sandslash and Mew and Mega Scizor and stuff. Obviously, I'll be adding more Mons to this list as I go on. I keep adding as I do changes. So yeah, back on topic, you again have Pixelate options, so I was covering those. What else? Level up wise, you get Commotion at 33. Commotion at 33 is really nice because Commotion is 85 base power. With Pixelate, it becomes 102, and then that will always confuse the opponent, which is really nice. It's very strong. That's stronger than Moonblast. But again, yeah, no, that is just flat out stronger than Moonblast. Moonblast is 100 base power, 95% accuracy. So that's really nice for Pixelate Misdreavus. And then you also have Serenade at level 39, which is weaker than Commotion. However, Serenade makes the opponent drowsy like Yawn does, which is really cool. So it is a bit volatile. It is a bit unreliable, but it is very useful nonetheless. So that is a good Pixelate option. That will become 84 base power with Pixelate. And then lastly, via level up with Pixelate, you have level 51 Boom Burst. That's very early for most Pokemon that will get like a boosted Boom Burst with like a Pixelate Aerolite type deal. It is very, very strong. Again, 100 special attack isn't like the highest thing in the world. It's not that strong. But with Pixelate Boom Burst, your Boom Burst is 125 base power. I did have to nerf it just because so many more Pokemon have access to it now. If I kept it at 140, it'd be overpowered as hell. And again, it would also outclass like Hyper Beam and shit. I don't like that, because Hyper Beam is awesome as well, which I'll talk about when I get to the level ups for Pixelate. I'm pretty sure it's just Hyper Beam and Hyper Voice that I have to talk about. So yeah, this Boom Burst is just flat. It becomes 150 base power with Pixelate. It's just a 150 base power, 0 drawback fairy type move that also bypasses Sinister. So that's a great option to have for sure. Really, really awesome stuff right there. And again, that fits given that they are Banshees and they Screech. It's literally the Screech Pokemon, so it fits definitely in my opinion. And then as for as for TM and Tutor, Pixelate options, you have Hyper Voice, which becomes 114 base power, and it's just a reliable, very strong option, because that's 95 base power, becomes 114. And then lastly, you have the absolute nuke that is Hyper Beam. Hyper Beam works like Draco Meteor now does, if you're not familiar. There are tons of other moves that do that exact same effect now. If you want to go check out the move sheet guide, you can check it out in the description, and you can look at all those moves. I have one for pretty much at least one for every type, usually at least two for every type. Sorry, one for every type. Some of them have two, like Frenzy Plant, and like Rock and Grass have two. But there are tons of new moves and new categories and stuff, which I'll eventually make a video on all these. I promise I will. But for Hyper Beam, it's 160 base power, which is actually stronger than the other ones. So like Floor Cannon and stuff, Spectral Beam and Psycho Boost, which are also dual stab options that Mismagius has. They learned Spectral Beam and Psycho Boost. Should probably put like Draco Meteor and stuff at the front, shouldn't I? Yeah, and then like floor cannon. And then like sorry, I should not be doing this live. All right, let me not. It's what it does not matter anyways. Dragon Ascent should also be up there. I guess I could put that on the top, whatever, who cares. Sorry everyone, I should not be doing this live. So the point is that Hyper Beam becomes 192 base power with Pixelate, and that is extremely powerful. And the second use will be 96 base power because you're minus special attack, so that's not even weak. Like 96 base power is good. So use that twice in a row. You get 192 base power on the first turn, and then 96 base power on the second turn. Very, very powerful nuke option that Pixelate has. Very, very awesome indeed. So that is all of the Pixelate stuff. All right, that's all of Misdreavus' important options. And now I'm going to cover Magic Guard viability. Magic Guard is more obvious. First things first, Life Orb. It negates the Life Orb recoil, so essentially you get a free 30% boost on your moves. It's very, very strong. 120 base special attack, 120 base speed Life Orb Magic Guard with Ghost Psychic Dual Stab, and coverage moves for like everything on the planet, which I will cover. Pun not intended. I will cover those at the end. But yeah, Magic Guard, that's the first use. Second use is you're immune to like chip damage, so you know, any form of passive damage really. So hazards, hail, sand, and that's mostly nice for like sash sets. Focus sash sets cannot be removed. So like you can't break the focus sash via like passive damage, which is really nice. So that basically means that Mismagius can always get up like a nasty plot or Calm Mind, or some other crazy setup stuff that I'll get to. I'll get to that as soon as I'm done talking about Magic Guard. I'll get to it. I think that's really it, anyways, for Magic Guard. What else is the application of that? Lastly, you do have one recoil move, which again, which Magic Guard does negate recoil from recoil moves. So with the move Eternal Beam at level 65, that is a fairy type 125 base power recoil move, and that has a 30% chance to drop your special defense, or the opponent's special defense, you know what I mean? And that's just awesome. I mean, for Misdreavus, it's a powerful stab move, and then for Mismagius, it's a Magic Guard move. So yeah, you have a 125 base power fairy type move that gives you 0 recoil, 0 drawbacks. So that's a lot better than Dazzling Gleam or Moonblast for sure. But you can only use it on Magic Guard sets for no recoil. Otherwise, you'll be taking 25% recoil, which is not that bad anyways. Definitely a good move regardless of the situation. So that's it for Magic Guard. Right? Magic Guard is just a very solid, self-explanatory ability, and obviously, in terms of like thematic reasons, I think both of these abilities fit perfectly to a T. Magic Guard, it's a magician, it's magic, it's a witch. Pixelate, it's a screech Pokemon, it screams, and I like how that ability turns its sound. It makes its sound moves actually viable. So that's really awesome, because again, those special normal type moves are mostly all sound moves besides Hyper Beam and Swift. The rest of them are all sound moves. So, all right. So now I can talk about the OPS setup moves. So, at level 70, as Mismagius and Misdreavus, you get access to Spectrify, Enchantment, and Stored Power. So those 3 moves are all, well, 2 of those are new moves, and then one of those is Stored Power, which I'm sure you know what that does, but that is now buffed. And I'm sure you guys probably also know the buffs, unless you're new here. So I am still going to cover it to be new people friendly, but I'm sure you already know where I'm going to be going with this if you know what Stored Power does now. So at first you have Z Spectrify. So you basically pick between Z Spectrify or Enchantment. So Z Spectrify turns the opponent, or it doesn't turn them into a ghost type, it adds ghost type to their type. It's from Trick or Treat. So they'll be gaining the ghost typing. So that will probably make them weak to ghost in most cases, or at the very least neutral to ghost, unless they're normal type. So that's awesome. That's number one. You increase the power of your stab on them. And then the actual use of it is that you get an Omni boost with the Z move. So you'll be getting +1 speed, +1 special attack, +1 special defense, and +1 defense. The attack obviously doesn't matter. The attack does help for stored power, but otherwise it's useless. So yeah, at +1 special attack and +1 speed, you are incredibly fast and strong. And then at +1 defense and special defense, you are incredibly bulky. At least you're somewhat bulky physically, and then you are incredibly bulky specially. So Mr. Biss can also run Z Spectrify, and it can actually abuse that. You could even argue better with like Boom Burst, for example. Like Z Spectrify plus Boom Burst is amazing. Z Enchantment. Sorry, not Z Enchantment. Z Enchantment is bad in most cases. It does heal you, but it's not. You're going to want to run Power Herb. So Enchantment comes from Geomancy. I did nerf it. It is only -1 speed boost now. just for balancing reasons. Because otherwise it would be the speed was what set it over the top. Obviously, it's still an amazing move, especially on these guys. But yeah, you get +1 speed, which is plenty on both Misdreavus and Mismagius, because 100 or 120 base at +1 is very, very fast. Even with 0 speed investment, you can run 0 investment and then click Power Herb Enchantment and just get that off. So it is a lot easier said than done, because there's a lot of anti-setup on the opponents now. Like I will try to do my best to make it harder to set up and just click buttons. For example, Taunt, Unaware, Topsy-Turvy, Haze, all these moves that I'm going to be giving to trainers will help. But at the end of the day, if you do the proper setup, you can still sweep quite a few battles with this. But that's excuse me, at level 70, you're like 3 battles away from the league. 3 boss fights away from the league at most. Like, you're probably going to be, at the earliest, you'll be at Mina's Trial. At the latest, you'll be at, like, Habu. So, there's not too many. And then you have, like, the Mount Lanakila Victory Road equivalent, and then you have the league, which will be level 100. Again, that's with the the instant level up training with the training candies. I will make a video on that eventually as well. Probably not until I do Pokemon locations after Mon changes, though. I will be making a video on everything else, though, after Johto, just because I want to get to a stopping point, and then I'm going to take the time to make all those videos, and then I'll resume with Hoenn. Anyways, yeah, enchantment with Power Herb or Z-Spectrify, you can really pick. The benefit of enchantment is that you do get more special attack and speed. However, more special attack and special defense, but you don't get defense, and you also get, I believe, less boosts overall. 2, 2, 1. No, you get the same amount. You get 5 in both. So stored power is the same base power no matter what, with Z-Spectrify or enchantment. Another major benefit of Z-Spectrify is that it ignores taunt, while enchantment with Power Herb does not, because Z moves ignore taunt. So Z-Spectrify is definitely better in a lot of situations, but it's up to you. It's up to personal preference, and there's certain situations that are that you're up against. I'd say both are very good. So depends on, if I had like a bold nature, I'd probably run Spectrify. If I had like a shitty defense nature anyways, then I would just run enchantment, personally, because that little extra defense would help. And then stored power is stab on Mismagius, and it's still very good on Misdreavus, despite not being stab on Misdreavus. And stored power will be, after each of those moves, it'll be 100 base power. Sorry, 120 base power, rather. And then you have 3 uses, so it's only 3 PP. However, each time you click stored power, you get a +1 special attack boost. So that increases the power of stored power tenfold each time you click it, because you get the 20 base power boost, and then you get also a +1 special attack boost each time. So that's incredible. You also have regular setup, like Nasty Plot and Calm Mind, and also Conjure at level 47. Conjure, so I made Conjure and Meditate like kind of in-betweens from Calm Mind and Bulk Up. So Conjure is exclusive to Ghosts only, and Ghost types can use that to get a +1 defense and +1 special attack boost. So again, it's like a mix between Bulk Up and Calm Mind. They don't get Meditate, but for mons that get Meditate, it's the same but swapped around. So it's +1 Spit F, +1 attack, which is good for like fighting types and psychic types and stuff. I think that's about it. I mean, I can cover every other little move, like the new coverage moves, but those are all amazing, powerful things. Yes, I figured that enchantment is overpowered, but I was like, man, it makes too much sense. Like, it's literally a witch. Like, come on, like I can't not give it enchantment. So it is only for the league, so it's not like it's breaking the entire game. If it does sweep every battle, it'll only be for late game, and it's not going to sweep every battle. I promise you that. It will not. It will be far from it. There will be tons of priority. Again, if you do the proper setup, you can. Like, if you run a Psychic Surge team to negate priority, and then like Stealth Rocks to like break Focus Ashes and all that shit, like, yeah, but at that point you're putting in thought into it. You know, you're setting up stuff. So at that point you are going to be rewarded for doing that. And even then, it's still probably easier said than done because of all the taunt leads and other stuff. So it will, in Magic Bound, it's going to be hard to set up in a lot of cases. And I'm going to have to take a lot of thought into making that happen. But at the end of the day, still great options. And Misdreavus can abuse all that stuff too, like, you know, Z-Spectrify or Enchantment. Power Herb Enchantment with like Boom Burst is insane. You also have regular Good Fairy Stab, so I already covered Eternal Beam. You also have standard old Moonblast. Dazzling Gleam has a 25% chance to boost your special attack. Draining Kiss is nice for healing. Disarming Voice is nice for utility. You have Spook, which is Ghost type priority. You have Disable and Confuse Ray for utility early game. Z Confuse Ray will give you +2 special attack if you want that. I don't know why you would view a Nasty Plot right there, but it's just something to consider. Otherwise, it's just an early game move. Soul Absorb is a really cool move. Soul Absorb is better on bulky ghosts, but a Violite Misdreavus can actually abuse Soul Absorb very well. So what Soul Absorb does is it basically it's Nightshade, okay? So it deals the same amount of damage as your level. So say you're level 20, you're dealing 20 HP to the level 20 Pokemon, which is going to be like a decent amount, probably about 1/3, 1/2 of their HP depending on how much base HP the Pokemon has, and you will be getting all of that HP healed back. So Sword Absorb is kind of, oh shit, I didn't really think about that, did I? Let me just do a hypothetical. How much HP does a base 50 Mon have at level 20? Also, this means I've been at 30 minutes, so that's good to note. Oh, this is the VDSP version now. I guess I just let that one play. What was I looking at? Base 50 HP. At level 20, you have, with 0 investment, you are at 56, so that will 3-shot them. I mean, it's an entire, honestly, it's good, but it's not that great. Like, it's niche because it still isn't that powerful, and you have a lot more powerful moves, so you have 4 moves syndrome. So I'm fine with Soul Absorb being that early. Never mind. I was worried about it for a second. That's fine. You also have Psychic Terrain, which is nice for like Hala. It negates his priority, so he can't like bullet punch you or something if you're running a Pixelate set. That does take up a move slot though, so again, you do have to juggle your move slots very well. So you know, like all these great options, but you can't actually use all 4 of them at once for the most part, except for the TMs. You can swap between TMs constantly and freely. You have reliable recovery with Moonlight, Wish, Healing Wish is good utility, Memento is good utility for non-Nuzlockers. I did balance the hack with Nuzlocks in mind, but actually, like, I not intended, but like some like loosely intended, because I know for a fact that I'm going to be doing hardcore Nuzlocks on this, so I definitely balanced it with that in mind. Screech is just obviously flavor and also decent utility. -1 to both their defenses at 100% accuracy. Magical Leaf is cool. Magical Leaf is somebody playing the fucking saxophone? Oh yeah, my roommate is practicing. All right, oh my god, that's a lot of shit, bro. That's so loud. Why is it so like reverberating? I hope you guys can hear that. If you can, I'll just wrap this video up, or maybe you'll enjoy the background music. Who knows? It's bothering me. It's throwing me off, so I'll just end this video soon. Yeah, I cannot focus, dude. Oh my god. Magical this always bothers me. I need to tell them to stop, or to do it later. Or when I'm done. I don't know. I'll probably just ignore it. Magical Leaf. Okay. Magical Leaf gives +1 special defense. And a 60 base power, so that's solid. You have tons of great coverage. So you have Power Gem. Power Gem, which is 90 base power +1 special attack, or not guaranteed, but 25% chance. If I'm misspeaking, it's because I'm flustered from the background noise. Giga Drain and Energy Ball is good for grass type coverage. Signal Beam is good for bug type coverage. Volt Switch, Charge Beam, Thunder, and Thunderbolt is good for electric. Icy Wind, Ice Beam, Blizzard. Again, you have Fairy, which is either stab or coverage, depending on which form, or not form, but which Pokemon you're using. Same goes for Psychic. It's either coverage or stab, depending on which of the 2 you're using. You have Aura Sphere and Focus Blast for fighting coverage, which is amazing. Mystical Fire and Burning Malice for fire type coverage. Will-O-Wisp for utility. Flash Cannon for steel type coverage, which is solid. Very powerful move, 110 base power. Yeah, I think that's about everything, honestly. There's a couple other little things I could cover, but it's just niche stuff. You know, decent utility stuff. Parting Shot is nice. Dual Screens is nice. Especially on Misdreavus for Eviolite. You can totally take advantage of like Parting Shot on stuff. That's really cool. I think I covered about everything, honestly. Everything else is just like self-explanatory or niche. So thank you so much for listening. I really do appreciate it. I hope this was informative. I hope you guys are cool with the type changes. I really like the way it turned out. I like how they're both unique from one another. I like how the type combos are more used because, again, the only other one was Hoopa, and that is very late game. You know, that's like Pony Island only, and just not that fun. God, that is so loud. Yeah, I gotta end this. So yeah, I will be continuing more. Oh god, next up is Unknown, so stay tuned for that video. Jesus, that's gonna be fun as hell. I'm gonna have to be very... Okay, I think that's about everything, so yeah. Thank you so much. I hope this was informative. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did like this kind of thing, if this hack seems interesting, if you like this type of video, if you like these changes, you can feel free to check out all of the other ones so far I've done. I've done about half or over half of Johto at this point, and then all of Kanto. You can go check out the sheet yourself to see all the changes. You can watch my other videos. But all I ask for in exchange is that you subscribe and like and comment, because that helps the algorithm and it'll help more people see my videos. And that is something I would appreciate. So thank you so much. And I will see you guys later with more.